students, welcome to the second session on dual nature of radiation and matter. In today's session, we'll have a look at the experimental study of photoelectric effect. Before starting today's session, let me summarize the previous session. In the previous session, you have studied about important discoveries of X-rays, cathode rays, electrons, which helped in understanding the atomic structure. And then various experimental investigations were done by J.J. Thomson, which suggested that electrons were fundamental universal constituents of matter. Millikan's oil drop experiment, which established the fact that electric charge is quantized. Electron emission, different types of electron emission, namely thermionic emission, field emission, photoelectric emission and secondary emission. And then you also studied about work function, which is nothing but the minimum energy required by an electron to escape from the metal surface. And then you studied about Hertz's observations on photoelectric effect. Later on it was studied in detail by Hallwag and Lenard. Now for today's session, it is a topic which is experimental setup to study photoelectric effect. As we can see the schematic diagram of the experimental setup to study the photoelectric effect. First, let me describe the experimental setup. Now, as you can see, an evacuated glass tube. There are two electrodes which are enclosed in the tube, namely the cathode C and the anode A. Cathode is a photosensitive plate which is negative, and anode is a collector which collects the electrons, which can be given either positive or negative potential depending on the situation. And then you can see the source of light, which is represented by S, and then there is a quartz window which is sealed to the glass tube, and this window has a filter attached to it which helps in allowing required frequency of light radiation. And then a commutator arrangement is set up which helps in reversing the polarity of the electrodes, which means you can change the direction of the electric current. And then there is a voltmeter which is included in the circuit, which measures the potential difference between the two plates, and then a microammeter which measures the amount of current produced in the circuit, and then the potential can be provided by a battery. So these are the basic components which are included in the circuit diagram. Now for the experiment which has to be conducted, you have already learned that when Lenard was doing experiment on photoelectric effect, he used the same setup except for the commutator, microammeter and voltmeter. Now for the experiment, there are three parameters which are studied. The first one is the intensity of the light radiation. Intensity means the energy of the light radiation which is emitted per unit area per second. And then the frequency of the light radiation. Frequency is specific to one particular color. When you vary the frequency, the color also varies. As you know that white color is made up of 7 constituent colors. Each color has a different wavelength and frequency. So if you choose a different color, the frequency also varies. And then the third parameter is the potential difference. You can vary the potential difference between the cathode and the anode. So these three parameters are kept in mind, and how photoelectric current varies with all these parameters was studied in the observations. Now the above experimental arrangement is used to study the variation of photoelectric current with the intensity of radiation, frequency of radiation, potential difference between the plates A and C, and the nature of the material of the plate C. Which means out of 3 parameters, 2 are kept constant and 1 is studied with the variation of the photoelectric current. Now for the first observation, which is the effect of intensity of the incident light on photoelectric current. Now in the experiment, if the frequency of the incident radiation is kept constant, which means if you use only one color, which is the monochromatic color, one wavelength, which has particularly one wavelength, which is nothing but frequency. If you use only one particular frequency of the incident radiation, and if the potential is also fixed, potential in the sense the anode potential, if the anode potential is fixed, then the intensity of light is varied, which means you can use a bulb of 100 watts and then 200 watts, 300 watts and so on and so forth. So if you vary the intensity of light and then if you observe the photoelectric current each time and then plot a graph between those two, the graph comes out to be like this. Now in the graph you can observe that when the intensity of light is 0, which means when there is no light radiation incident on the cathode, there is no photoelectric current. As you increase the intensity, which means when the light radiation is incident more and more on the cathode plate, then the electrons which are emitted from the cathode also increase and they all reach the anode. So each time when you increase the intensity of light, photoelectric current also increases, which means the photoelectric current is directly proportional to the number of photoelectrons emitted per second. So you need to understand that the number of photoelectrons emitted per second is directly proportional to the intensity of the incident radiation. Now the second variation is effect of potential on photoelectric current. Now as I already informed you, there are 3 parameters: intensity, frequency and potential. Now varying these, you can study how it has its effect on photoelectric current. Now in the second observation, frequency is fixed, which means same color is used, same of monochromatic color is used, and intensity of light is also remains the same. Then the photoelectric current increases with increase in positive potential. Now as you can observe in the graph, now look at the graph. Initially when anode has some potential, and for one particular intensity of light, where I1 represents intensity, for one particular intensity of light, the photoelectric current was having a minimum value, initial value. As you go on increasing the positive potential of the anode, the photoelectric current also increases. Now this is for a particular frequency. So this observation is done keeping frequency constant, and then for one particular intensity of light, if you increase the potential of the collector plate, then the photoelectric current also gradually increases. But further increase in the potential will make the current to saturate, which means there is no more increase in the current, which means electrons are not emitted anymore. All the electrons which are emitted from the cathode, they reach the anode. Now as you can see in the graph, initially when the potential of A is 0, then the current is having some minimum value. as you increase the positive potential, the current gradually increases and reaches a saturation point. Now, if you further increase the positive potential, the current will no more increase, which corresponds to the situation of saturation current. Next, when the potential is decreased in the sense when you just reduce the positive potential. Now, as you can see in the graph, when the potential is zero, when the potential is made zero, then the photoelectric current is not zero, it is having some value. Now, when you reverse the polarity of the anode plate, the electrons are repelled, because when anode is made negative, the electrons are also negative, so they repel the anode and they will not be able to reach the anode. Only the most energetic electron will try to reach the anode, but as you can see in the graph, the photo current goes on decreasing with increase in negative potential. So when you increase the negative potential, the number of electrons reaching the anode also decrease, which decreases the photo current, and finally at one critical value of the negative potential, the photoelectric current becomes zero. So this minimum negative potential given to the anode, for which the photo current becomes zero, is called cutoff potential or stopping potential. Now this definition is important. I repeat this: the minimum negative potential given to the anode, for which the photo current becomes zero, is called cutoff or stopping potential. So at this condition, the stopping potential will be sufficient to repel even the most energetic photoelectrons. So as the electrons are emitted from the cathode, all the electrons will not have the same energy. So even the most energetic electron will also be stopped at this potential. So we can equate this: kinetic energy maximum is equal to EV naught. This equation is again important. Kinetic K maximum represents kinetic energy maximum, that is the maximum kinetic energy of the electrons, is equal to E represents the charge of the electron, V naught the stopping potential. Now if you again look at the graph, the experiment is repeated for different intensities, which means in the first case the experiment was done for an intensity I1. Say for example, if you have used 100 watt bulb, in the second observation the experiment is repeated for a different intensity I2, such that I2 is greater than I1. If you have used 100 watts here, you can use 200 or 400 watts here. So when you increase the intensity, as you can observe in the graph, the saturation current also increases. So saturation current depends on the intensity of light, first point. And second point, if you just again go back to the negative potential, then as you increase the retarding potential to the anode, the photo current decreases and finally becomes zero at the same potential. So you need to understand that the stopping potential remains the same for different intensities, which means stopping potential is independent of the intensity of the light radiation. Thus, for a given frequency of incident radiation, stopping potential is independent of its intensity. So in this observation, you have to remember two important points. The first one about the saturation current, where no more electrons will be able to reach the anode, and then the second one, stopping potential. It is the minimum negative potential given to the anode, where the photo current becomes zero. Thus the frequency of incident radiation, it is independent of the intensity. Now for the next observation, that is the effect of frequency of incident radiation on stopping potential. Now if you observe this graph, the observation is done keeping the intensity of light constant. So as I told you, when the intensity is constant, this current is also constant, photoelectric current is also constant. Now in this graph we'll study the relation between frequency and the stopping potential. Now along x-axis collector plate potential is indicated, and V01, V02, V03 are the retarding potentials. Along y-axis you have photoelectric current. Now nu1, nu2, nu3, they represent frequencies such that nu3 is greater than nu2, greater than nu1. Now in this observation, for one particular frequency nu1, the stopping potential was observed to be V01. When the frequency was increased from nu1 to nu2, the stopping potential was different, which is V02. And for the third observation, where again you further increase the frequency, the stopping potential also increases, which is given by V03. But if you observe, the saturation current for all the three cases remains the same. So if you repeat the experiment for different frequencies, the stopping potential values were different, but the saturation current remained at the same value. Thus you have to understand that higher the frequency, higher the stopping potential. Therefore the energy of the electrons, they depend on the frequency of the incident radiation. Now you have to understand that the higher the frequency, higher is the stopping potential and greater the kinetic energy of the electrons. Kinetic energy depends upon the frequency. As you have already studied, kinetic energy also depends upon the stopping potential. So higher the frequency, higher the stopping potential, therefore greater the kinetic energy of the electrons. Now for the next observation, the variation between frequency and stopping potential for different materials. Now if we consider two different materials as depicted in the graph, metal A and metal B, these two are two different metals. Now the graph is between frequency of incident radiation and stopping potential. As you have already learned, both are directly related, frequency of incident radiation and stopping potential. As the frequency increases, stopping potential also increases. But you can observe in the graph that the graph does not begin at the origin. So this represents that each metal has some minimum frequency called the threshold frequency, above which photoelectric emission takes place. So this minimum value is called the threshold frequency, and this threshold frequency depends on the nature of the metal emitting the photoelectrons. So if you can observe the threshold frequency, it is different for metal A and metal B. So these were few important observations made during the experiment of photoelectric effect. Using these observations, some photoelectric emission laws were framed, which are as follows. The first one observation is photoelectric effect is almost instantaneous, which means the time lag between the radiation incident on cathode and emission of electrons is of the order of nanoseconds, which means as soon as the light radiation is incident on the metal surface, electrons are emitted without any delay. Now the second law, for every metal surface there is a minimum frequency below which there is no emission of photoelectrons. This minimum frequency is called threshold frequency. Third one, the maximum kinetic energy of the emitted photoelectrons increases with increase in frequency of the incident radiation, provided the frequency is greater than the threshold frequency. And you also should know that the maximum kinetic energy is independent of the intensity of the radiation. The number of photoelectrons emitted per second increases with increase in the intensity of the incident radiation. All these observations are framed into laws, and these laws are important for the board exam. Now we have come to the end of the session 2. Now, based on the content which you have studied now, frequently asked questions are given on the screen. with answers. Only 3 and 5 mark questions you have to answer looking at the content. Now you just go through the questions and you write down the answers for 3 and 5 marks. In the fifth question, define the terms threshold wavelength is given. I haven't explained there. Threshold wavelength is the maximum wavelength above which photoelectric emission does not take place. I repeat, threshold wavelength is the maximum wavelength above which the photoelectric emission does not take place. All the other definitions are given in the content. You please go through and write the answers. Now this concludes session 2. I want you to go through session 1 and session 2 and practice the answers for the content given. Thank you.